try to talk to you a little bit about one of the assignments that we're kind of stuck on here, and that's this one that we're doing that is the basic still life. And to do that, let's look first at all down here what you're asked to do. Um, Basically, you're assuming, or we're assuming, that you've gone through this part right here, assignment one. So you're kind of down on, you understand how to get that proportion and the assessment of how those shapes relate to each other. So we're hoping that works. Now, one of the things that's kind of thrown at you this time is to block in these shadows from the darkest to the lightest areas. That's very important because that's going to give you that three-dimensional look that you're really, really looking for. And after you've got those shadows in and after you've got the scale and everything right, then the rest is going to kind of fall into place for you, I think. Now, if you'll look back at this, this is on that assignment page. When you click into one of those, I don't know if you can see all this, but when you click into that, you can see that's exactly what this individual did when they were putting this particular assignment together. Basic shapes and blocked in, and you see how beautifully these shadows are laid in. Now, let me give you a real good tip. Real good tip, use a strong light source, because you know what the light source does? It gives you this remarkable range, and it describes these shapes so well, they begin to really come out at you in terms of where they are in space and where they relate and that three-dimensional quality that we're really, really looking for. Anyway, so spend some time on that. I have a couple of other ones that I wanted to pull up here and talk to you about. Oh, this underneath this is another point I wanted to make, and that is setting in your perspective. Some of you guys are having a little bit of an issue with the perspective. Basically, this particular scanned-in page, it comes right out of your textbook, incidentally. I think the Curtis text, so you might want to check through there. But it shows how, in this particular instance, you can do a two-point. That would mean you have a visual, or you have a vanishing point over here and another vanishing point over here somewhere. And you lay those in so that you've got basically a horizon that goes about here. And then you lay those in, of course, and that helps you determine all those other angles as you put the rest of that component. Now, this would be your file cabinet after you did that. Here's another way, and again, like I said, there's much clearer pictures in your book, so look through that if you would, please. Now let's get back to what I was really trying to look at here for you, and that is some of this shading issue. Let's see if I can find the specific ones I was looking for. Here's a really good one that another student has done in another class. I really like this. His name is Juan Say, and he gave me permission to use this to show you, but it was just thrilling. He took a funnel, a sphere, and a simple, I guess, carton back here, and by directing that light here, you see how those shapes begin to take form, and you get a real sense of three-dimensional qualities in there. Now, Juan's pretty good. He obviously knew how to draw before he even came to this, because this is a really brilliant, and I'd love to say I taught him how to do this, but I didn't. But this is kind of where we're going. And I think one of the things that helps is for you to look carefully at other drawings. So anyway, you notice one of the things I've talked to you all about is not making these little outlines around all of your shapes, because it looks more like a coloring book page then rather than a three-dimensional form. And we're looking for that three-dimensional form moving toward black and white photography, if you will. So very important that we get these kinds of nice gradations of shadow. And you see how Juan did that. You have a line, but it's not really a line, it's an edge. You see how the edge disappears, it becomes not a line, but because of that dark shape behind the funnel, then it becomes an edge. And the same is true here. Instead of blending it, there's a little bit of a reflection off of this sphere on that funnel, and it makes a white line or a white shape up there. And you notice there's no line here, is there? There's that white edge against the dark edge. And that's what I mean when I'm talking to you a little bit about asking you to get rid of those lines by blending the shadows all the way to the edge. Then those lines disappear. They become a shape rather than something like that, okay? So look at the different shades that he was able to get here. This is remarkable. Look right here and how well he blends that. That's what I'm asking you to look for and to try to do. Now, this is another great one. Now, this is a part of a drawing that an incredible teacher, artist, Joseph Smith, who just incredible what he does. But anyway, he's an illustrator, and you can look him up, Josa dot Smith, I think. Look him up on the internet. His work is incredible. He's an illustrator, and as I say, a teacher. I think he teaches at the Pratt, and I think he laughingly said at a workshop I attended recently is the big thing in New York now is when people go to galleries, they go to galleries, his graduate students do, to see if they can find anybody in that whole gallery that's an artist or interested in art that has not had a class under Joseph Smith. He's been there forever, he said, but really remarkable. Look how Joe manages to use in this nice sepia drawing he did here. See how these shadows just, basically they give you that form by blending to the dark here, which is the fourth, coming right at us. Now, this is not a drawing he does from an actual thing. He's creating this. But by knowing the basics of how light and shadow and shading, knowing how those operate, he's able to give us these beautiful, beautiful illustrations. Basic cylinders, as it were, cones, and you see how he's very aware. And like he said, he's been doing this for 1,000 years, so he ought to know how to do it, but they're really remarkable. Here's another one of my favorite. This is part of his drawing called the balloon train. You can just feel that air, can't you, coming across the plain? The wind lifting this train up off the tracks, really remarkable. He has illustrated several children's books, but the same principle that we're working for here, getting those nice, strong darks in there that play off of each other. You see, you don't really see the lines. You don't really, I know you do in the way he creates his texture here, but I mean, he does not outline the shape. He lets the shadows, the shading, determine where that shape is in space. Great way to draw. Think about this, would you? And when you go back and do some of these, if you've submitted yours early and you want me to look at them again, certainly go ahead and do that. If you're submitting them for the first time, go back over this and see if it doesn't help you a little bit. I hope it does. Thanks for your help.